I know that you're probably looking for the Easter Bunny, but let me tell you, he's been dyeing eggs all night and he is literally exhausted. What do you call a mischievous egg? A practical yoker. We're sticking with our Easter tradition of bringing you a new egg video every Easter. And this year, I'm gonna show you a really cool way to naturally dye some hard-boiled eggs you have left over. We always end up with tons of leftover hard-boiled eggs after Easter. This is the best, brightest, easiest way to get a hot pink hard-boiled egg. So these are great on their own for breakfast, just to like jazz it up. It's spring, we want all these bright, beautiful pastel colors. We love them on salads. They're great on avocado toast. It's just like a really cool way to get a bright egg for breakfast. First step is you need hard-boiled eggs. And if you don't know how to make them, you're in luck, because I'm gonna show you. So all you really need is a pot with a little bit of water in it, and we're gonna bring it to a boil, and some really good pastured eggs. I laid these myself. Aren't they glorious? So our method is start with boiling water, then add your eggs. Either a slotted spoon or a little ladle or something. All you need to do is just get your eggs on here and then just slowly lower them in so you don't splash yourself. Let's do 4 and just set them in there. And then now all you have to do is just set a timer for 8 minutes. So while these are boiling, I just want to get an ice bath ready, and that just means a bowl filled halfway with ice, and then we're going to top it off with some cold water, and as soon as the timer goes off, we'll take these out and plop them in here to cool them down as quickly as possible. All right, they're done. Let's take these out. So now we can turn off the heat, and then we're going to take these out and just drop them gently into the ice bath. Get them nice and cooled as fast as we can. This one got a little cracked. That's okay, because we're not actually using the outer shell like you would for dyeing the outside of the eggs. It's also why we use brown eggs, because it doesn't matter. We're not actually dyeing the shells. If you are going to dye the shells first, then obviously you'll want white eggs. All right, so we're just gonna let these eggs sit in here and cool for a minimum of 10 minutes. So at this point, these are fully cooled. And you could then now dye the outside. If you had the white egg shells, you could then dye them and use them for whatever Easter treats you want. I'm just gonna put them in a bowl of cold water, and I'm gonna show you our favorite way to peel them. So all you do is you just take one out and you just gently tap it on all sides on the hard surface. And then under the water, I peel it. And this helps to try to get the water throughout the shell and underneath the membrane, and then not give you those big chunks that can come out sometimes when you're peeling. Like, it should come off pretty easily. And your egg white should be nice and smooth. So now we have our peeled hard-boiled eggs, and now is the fun part where you get to decide what colors you want to dye them. Today we're gonna do pink, or like a sort of maroon, dark, hot pink magenta, and I'm using beet juice. So all we did was buy a couple beets and just juice them. However, you can also just buy beet juice or pomegranate juice, and then that'll work just as great. You don't have to juice your own if you don't want to. The cool part though, if you do want to juice your own veggies, is you can do any color you want. So if you want to do carrots, you'll get a nice orange color. You can even sprinkle a little turmeric in. If you want to do kale and spinach, it'll give you a nice green color. Blueberries will give you this really cool kind of gray, bluey color. So it's like totally up to your creativity and like what you and your family want to come up with. But this hot pink one is my ultimate favorite, because I mean, hello. So this is pure beet juice. So it is a very dark, dark color. If I were to just use this, they would get very dark, and also I wouldn't need to leave them in for more than like 20 minutes. They would absorb a really nice magenta color. But you can control the richness of the color and also the flavor. Because we use beets, they do have that sort of beety, kind of earthy flavor. And so in order to kind of dilute that a little bit, I'm gonna add a little bit of water, and so this is totally full. And then I'll put the eggs directly into the color. So the longer you leave them in the food dye, the more flavor they'll absorb, and also the more color they'll absorb. So depending on how dark, and if you do want any of that little bit of flavor, just keep that in mind. I did some eggs beforehand where I did not dilute the beet juice and I let them soak for an hour, and then these ones I've diluted it and I'm also only gonna let them sit in for 15 minutes so you guys can see the totally vast difference of what you can achieve. Okay, so these are the ones that have been in here for 15 minutes. Look at the difference. So these are the ones that were in the non-diluted beet juice that was for an hour, and these are the ones that were just in the diluted one for only 15 minutes. So let's cut them open and see what they look like. Ooh, that's so pretty. This is giving me like breakfast radish vibes, like with that bright magenta on the outside and pure white on the inside. This is so pretty. Okay, now we're gonna compare the super long soak. Whoo, that one looks even prettier. Wow, check out like the richness and the deepness of how far the dye went into the egg versus a quick one versus an hour. And if you leave them in even longer, this could potentially go all the way through to the yolk. So it's really cool. Picture these, like how awesome these would look on like avocado toast or in like a really delicious salad. Like these would really just make any meal so much brighter and more springtimey. And you know, you got all those leftover hard-boiled eggs, just soak them in some dye, some natural vegetable dye, and see what happens. Or you could just simply sprinkle some delicious, we have some ranch seasoning on this one and some everything bagel on this one, and just enjoy. Everything's good with bagel seasoning. So there you have it, some really awesome naturally ways to dye your hard-boiled eggs so that they're actually beautiful and edible and you can put them on whatever you want. I promise you it will be excellent. Trust me when I tell you, Trust me when I tell you, when you put a plate of these in front of your guests, they'll be ecstatic.